Bump and Run with Bernie and Dahlby. Presented by Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Now, here's Brett Bernheisel and Steve Dahlby.
And here we are, podcast number 3. Let's see if I can do this right. 3, not 2, not 1, but 3. And this is the first time, Dahlby, that we've had a live guest. And
yes,
so
first
excited.
guest. This is big.
Yeah, our first. I mean, this is huge, right? I mean, this is like, this is the biggest thing we've ever done. I mean, can you see him smiling and laughing over there? And that's Ryan French. Everybody knows this as Monday Q Info. So for this next hour or so, his name will be Monday Q Info, and I'm going to get right to it. I'm just going to get right to this whole thing. I took a day off from work in January to help him out, do some scoring at the Waste Management Phoenix.
I know
Open.
where this is going.
And you ever have that buddy that like is down on his luck, and you slip him a 50 or 100 and say, you know what, pay me back whenever. And every time you see him that he hasn't paid you back, and all of a sudden the guy's got like a stack of hundreds or whatever. That's kind of how I feel, because I was promised a towel with a Neil Johnson autograph on the towel for helping you do the scoring. This was in January or early February. It's now late July, early August, and I still haven't received anything. So I've actually checked the box, blown it off, and let's move on. Give me your answer to this.
Thanks for having me on, first of all. Second of all, yeah.
That's great. What a great comeback.
I mean, it's definitely in the mail. And I mean, it's coming. It'll be there easily by 2023. I mean, it's not even a question.
So 2.5 years.
You know, Bernie, that the post office, on Monday's behalf, the post office is running a little slow. FedEx, it's all slow because of COVID. So I'm confident you're going to get your stuff. I really am.
I'm very confident.
And this is a terrible day for him. This is like the day after the All-Star game when you're a baseball fan like myself, and there's no sports. There's no NBA. This year we had the Suns, thank God, but there's no baseball, there's no football, there's no hockey. Today is like Monday Q Info's biggest day because there's so many qualifying events going on around the world, and today was completely dark. What did you do with your day besides maybe making your kids lunch or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, cried a lot. And, I just, this is what other people must feel like on every Monday, like it was like an actual Monday. Everybody says you have a case of the Mondays. Like I really had a case of the Mondays today.
Why did you get into this? I mean, I know you hear it all the time, but just, I know, and being a Twitter follower of you, and Dahlby is too, and your Twitter account has gone absolutely ballistic. I mean, you have Club Pro Guy retweeting you. You have Phil Mickelson retweeting you. What made you? Why do you care about Neil Johnson? Why do you care about TJ Vogel? Why do you care about, what Patrick Reed did years ago? Why?
I'm a golf nerd, but I think the serious answer is that, and as you guys know, is that this side of golf is just not covered. I mean, that's all there is to it. Like, I don't think I compare it, the best I can compare it to is a minor league baseball game everyone's been to. They know that minor league baseball exists because a lot of people have been there. I don't think not many people, or at least a casual golf fan, didn't really know where all the players came from. They just assumed they kind of appeared on the PGA Tour. So I think golf is thought of as elitist at times, and that everybody is rich and private jets and they all have this team around them and all those kind of things. And it's obviously, as you guys know, it's anything but. 90% of pros are living, paycheck to paycheck or not making a living at all. So I just think it was an underserved side of golf.
And Monday, what I like,
go ahead.
what I like is that, just like you said, I don't think people know about Monday qualifiers, and I think you've done a great job in the last couple years of bringing that to the forefront and making people understand. And I know it's not like this at every Monday qualifier, but you come to the Phoenix Monday qualifier at McCormick Ranch where you help Bernie. There's a lot of good players, and I'm talking about guys that have won many tournaments, guys that have played in majors, and it's quite a shootout. And for people, the opportunity to come out there and watch great golf for free is amazing. And so I think for you, to do what you've been doing is fantastic. Now, were you a player, or how did it start?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it as short as I can, guys. But I played college golf, so I played community college golf. I always say I played good community college golf, but I don't know if there's such a thing. We went to nationals, and I grew up in a small northern Michigan city, so I was kind of like a big fish in a small pond there, and then a big fish in a small pond on the community college level. And then I tried to walk on at Michigan State, and I was playing pretty well for myself. I was like playing pretty well, and I was going to be about the 8th or 9th man at Michigan State, and I was playing pretty well. So that was kind of my wake-up call that there was a lot of good golfers in the world, a lot better than I was. And so I didn't play for them. I didn't have a chance to play for them, even if I wanted to. And then after school, my dad and I would take a trip a year to go caddy on mini tours. And I say I learned a lot from those things, but the two main things is, one, that the lifestyle isn't what people think it is, and two, how talented players are that aren't playing anywhere near the PGA Tour. And so from there, I got to know some guys, and I never caddied full time, but guys would call me and say, I need a guy here. Can you get off from work? So caddied at Q School a few times, caddied on, what is now the Korn Ferry Tour a few times, those kind of things. And so I knew a lot of guys. Again, I've always been a golf nerd, even when I was young. And so once I knew some guys, I was looking more and more and more at Monday qualifiers or mini tour events and seeing where guys that I either caddied for or were in a group with, how they were doing. So fast forward many years, my son had brain surgery 3 years ago. And I left my job in the restaurant business to take care of him. And really the plan was to be out for 2 months, and then we were going to find a new nanny, and life was going to go back to as normal as it was prior to that. And that was 3 years and 2 months ago, and I've never been back to a full-time job.
Does gin and tonic get a lime always?
No, I have no idea. I'll tell you what, I drink Jack and Coke, and every once in a while a bar will put a lime in it, and there's no, I don't know what people are thinking with that, but yes, when I bartended, yes, gin and tonic got a lime.
Did you ever envision when this all happened, and you say you're a golf nerd, did you ever envision where this would be today? To where you're traveling to, whether it's Scottsdale for the Waste Management Phoenix Open or the Honda, did you ever envision this being like a career, or was it just a hobby that somehow took off and, left the tracks and now is where it is today?
Yeah. This is how I explain it often is if at the beginning of this account, if I would have made a list, if someone would have said, hey, Ryan, make a list of 10 or 15 things that are the craziest things that you would ever think would happen with this account, none of the things that actually have happened would be on that list. They would have been too crazy. Like, honestly, I thought people say, like, how many followers do you think you were going to have? I didn't even think that far ahead. I think my wife and I were talking about it on the way home. We drove home from Michigan last weekend. Like 500 would have been a lot. If you told me at the beginning, that was not the intention. It was really, the intention of the account was very selfish. I wanted to have something to do, not hanging out with my, in the time that I wasn't with my kids, like really needed an adult outlet because I was going to watch at that time, 6 and 4-year-old. And so, a 5 and 3-year-old at that time. So it was like, it was really selfish. There was no intention of being here. There was no intention of being anywhere. I mean, I remember calling my wife at work and saying, "Oh my God, I have 1,000 followers. 1,000 might as well have been it seemed crazy at 1,000."
We have 1,000 now, finally, after whatever years we've been doing
Nice.
this, 3 or 4. We have 1,000 now. Tell me the craziest story of a Monday. I mean, and there's something I'm going to ask you later that Dahlby will have to get. He was not going to talk because he signs an integrity statement with the PGA Tour. So you and I will banter about something a little bit later. But tell me the craziest thing, because I'm going to tell you the craziest story that I've ever had at a Monday qualifier. And this was in the, 92, 93. And I'm with R.W. Eakes, and we're at the Tucson Open qualifying, Monday qualifier. And we get in a playoff, 2 for 1, only 2 for 1. I know you don't get excited about that because you like the 12 for 2s and things like that.
Right.
So we're in a 2 for 1, and we're on the first playoff hole, and KJ Choi and R.W. Eakes. And KJ Choi has this staff bag, so we go to the tee, and I'm looking around going, where the fuck's his caddy at? Okay? There was no caddy. KJ Choi was carrying a staff bag, on the first, and beat us. He beat us, of course, but he carried his own staff bag for the entire 18 holes during qualifying and in the playoff. Because I'm like, all right, well, let's meet this guy. Yeah, he carried his own staff bag. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, and I was just mesmerized, and we lost. So the drive back from Tucson to Phoenix to Scottsdale or whatever was absolutely terrible. I mean, it was like no music on or anything. I'm surprised he even had the air conditioning on. He was so mad. But yeah, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen in a Monday Q.
Wow, that's
How about
crazy.
you?
I mean, it was at the Waste Management Monday. I mean, Bernie, you've seen I don't know if you've seen the video, Steve, but
the lady?
Thomas the Tank. Yeah, the lady walking across the bridge. So they call him Thomas the Tank. He's in the top 100. He hit, I don't know what hole that is. You guys would have to tell me what hole that is. But he hits it onto a bridge.
It's 15.
Okay, 15. So Thomas the Tank has hit it onto a bridge, and he's waiting for a ruling. And like the ruling was pretty straightforward in my opinion, but I understand waiting for it. He's a top 100 player in the world. He's from South Korea. And all of a sudden I see this lady with 2 dogs walking across the golf course, and Neil Johnson and I are there. And I'm like, Neil, she's coming across this, she's coming across the bridge. And sure enough, she did with her 2 dogs, and the audio. I mean, I will not do it justice. I'll post it when you guys post this. I'll post it underneath of it. It is the best 30 seconds I have ever witnessed at a Monday qualifier. She comes across, and she's a Canadian and has a very, very Canadian accent. And she says, "I know this is important, but he might pick it up and put it in the hole." And it just like the whole surreal moment, he literally had not been in the United States for more than a month. And like, this was his first Monday qualifier. And like, the kid's 19 years old, the top 100 player in the world. And like this is his introduction to the United States in the Monday qualifier. And it was just like, the whole scenario was just surreal.
Well, and you've seen some other stuff. Wasn't there a guy, was it in Texas? Did he play in cowboy boots, or was he packing a gun or something?
Yeah.
Or he had a knife? What was that all about?
Packing a gun?
Something.
Yeah, he had, I just put out my first podcast, my reboot of my first podcast, and we call him Cowboy Qualifier. He had a full-blown cowboy outfit on, and the guy is not, this isn't a show, this isn't for YouTube. He's like a true to life, just a eccentric dude. His name is Gus Gonzalez, and he does a full cowboy hat, full start shirt, button down shirt. And yeah, he carries a knife on his waistband and fix his
And
divots.
it's not a little knife, right? It's like a Bowie knife.
No.
It's a big knife. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big
It's
knife.
not a pocket knife. It's a big knife, Bernie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's the best thing. I mean, his podcast is 45 minutes of just pure gold.
Did he have a caddy? Did the caddy carry the knife, or he carried the knife?
Oh yeah. No, he carried the knife on his belt, and yeah, he would break it out, and he cuts out a little area and puts his divot back in. I mean, it's unreal.
How did you find this guy?
I got a picture of him from a player. Like, a player was at a pre-qualifier and sent me a picture. And was like, "You're not going to believe this." And so I put a picture of him up on Twitter, and like, it blew up. I mean, rightfully so. This guy's gold. He had a staff bag with iron covers, a full cowboy hat, cowboy outfit, and a knife on his thing. I mean, the guy is just pure gold. His name is Gus Gonzalez, and he's literally a farmer. Like, no jokes, has a handlebar mustache. I mean, he is amazing. So I got a message. So the player that sent me the picture was not who played with him. One of the players who played with him sent me a message and said, "That guy is unreal. He fixed his divots with a knife, and then he snapped all his wedges on the 18th hole." And so, I mean, just a wonderfully eccentric dude. He's the craziest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy, I think, in Dahlby. Well, we're the same age, Dahlby. There was a guy. Remember the guy named Walt Zimbriski? I think he was like a
from
cattle
Florida
farmer or something like. Yeah, and I think he was this. Like, he hit balls, and like his. I think how he mowed his pasture was by hitting like 8 irons and 7 irons, and that's because he didn't own a mower.
Wasn't that Robert Landers?
You know what? That's who it is. Yeah. Okay. I got correct. Okay. I've been corrected already. First. Yeah. I've been correct. You're correct. You're absolutely right. He wore like Levi's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like some kind of like hiking boots. Yeah. That's him. That's exactly who it is. Yeah. Okay. So you talked about taking pictures. So I want to get to this because it happened to Dahlby and I, and Dahlby doesn't have to say anything right now if he doesn't want to, but you got a cease and desist from the PGA Tour for a video that the PGA Tour actually used because of Big Mike. I don't know his last name, but Big Mike qualified for, was it the Honda or the Doral? Qualified. You took a video of it. PGA Tour Communications retweeted it, and then you've been taking videos at some of these other Monday qualifiers, and then they sent you a cease and desist. You can't do it anymore. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a long story, and I'll try to keep it as short as possible. But yeah, I mean, I've taken videos as the account has grown. I've taken videos at Monday qualifiers for 3 years. The tour never said a word about it. And then actually at the Waste Management that you were at, part of the reason you were there, and I'll get that towel to you.
That's the most important thing about this whole deal.
They like reached out to me and they asked me, like, what do I do for Monday qualifiers? And I went through and was like, hey, this is what I do. Here's my process. In my, like, looking back, obviously that's on me for digging my own grave and telling them what to do. Again, they never said anything about videos. They came out to me with us at the Waste Management, and I took videos and I showed them where to stand and who could win and who could not. And I did the same thing at the Honda Classic a couple months later. Same exact scenario played out. And then I took the job with Fire Pit, and they let me know I couldn't take videos anymore. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And yeah, here we are. And so, yeah, I mean, it stinks. It stinks that listen, I get TV rights. I get it. I really do. And I know I'm not in media. I know I am now, but I'm saying I didn't understand all the rules. So I get that they own the rights to it. Just the way they went about it just kind of stinks. And I appreciate they don't want me to have a camera crew out there now that I work for a media company and like have a little bit of a budget. They don't want I was taking videos on my cell phone, and I mean, I don't I don't know how to say this without. I try to remain as humble. I really do appreciate where I'm at, but it's like I helped build Monday qualifiers become me and my followers have helped Monday qualifiers become a thing. They let me do that, and then they pulled the rug out from under me, and so it just felt dirty. It just feels dirty.
Well, I mean, and like I said, Steve has a bunch of players that play on tour. I'm not going to mention really who, but he took a video of one of his players and sent it to me, so I put it on our Twitter account. And within a day or so, it was, you can't do it. And to me, I get what you're saying, Ryan, aka Monday Q Info. I get what you're saying. It's just, Steve teaches this guy. I mean, it was tough, and we took it down, and we haven't done anything since, and we won't because, integrity or whatever it might be. It's just a little bit, it's just weird. I mean, like you said, you help build Monday qualifiers. I mean, you go on PGAtour.com, and there's an article every single week now about Monday qualifiers. And I always look up and I scroll up to see who wrote it, always thinking I would see your name, and I don't. But you give more publicity to Monday qualifiers than anybody I've ever met in my entire life, and anybody I'll ever meet in the future of my life, because as caddying back in the 80s or 90s or whatever it might be, nobody cared about it. There was nobody there. It was 70 guys or 90 guys that played for 4 spots, and you didn't see anything in the paper. Nobody knew. It was something that happened, and a guy got in the field, and nobody knew about it. But now you've made such a big deal about it, and kudos to you, dude. Kudos to you for as much as you've done for this particular deal, because it's a big deal. And you talk about, guys that don't have any status, whether TJ Vogel did it 8 times or Patrick Reed, and maybe he got through on his own. I don't know. But whatever it might have been, these are guys that have a chance in a lifetime. Like a Corey Connors last year or 2 years ago at the Valero Texas Open. He Monday qualifies and wins the tournament. And nobody really talks about that unless, Connors is in contention nowadays. I mean, you talk about living out of your car, living out of your, 2 guys in a hotel room, with a 1:30 tee time, and the other guy's got an 8:15. The guy's, 4 under par after 16 holes and packs it in because you have to shoot 8 or 9 under par in these things, to get in. So kudos to you for everything you've done. I met you once in my life. You still owe me a towel, but I want to say thanks for everything you've done to open up the light for people that don't know about, what a good player is, because you can take the best player at the club. I don't care who it is, your country club, your municipal, whatever. You can take the best player and put them up against some of these Monday qualifiers, and they're going to get absolutely freaking drowned. Just drowned. You can give them 2 aside and beat them all day long for whatever dollar they have.
Yeah, I mean, thank you guys, and thank you, Bernie. Yeah, I mean, I think, a couple things is one, as people just don't appreciate how good players are that aren't on the PGA Tour. Like a casual golf fan, I mean, like Steve could recognize, or Bernie, you could recognize, but like if you put, and you didn't know who they were, if you put the 75th player from the PGA Tour next to a very good developmental tour player, or, a very good Monday qualifier side by side on the range, their balls are going to look basically the same. Like the casual golf fan would not be able to pick up, and they would be like, wow, those 2 guys are great. And yeah, like you said, Bernie, I say it all the time. I use examples like Tony Romo, who's a very good amateur. He can't beat the guy on the Korn Ferry Tour who's playing terrible. He finished last week by 6 shots or whatever it was. Like the difference between the best player at a country club and a guy who's playing well at Monday qualifier is miles and oceans and farther than that apart. Like there is no difference. I mean, there is no comparison.
Hey, Monday. So a couple questions. One, getting back to the tour.
I love that name.
Is there talks with the PGA Tour right now about you teaming with them, or is there hopes that there might be a partnership in the works? Is that something that might happen?
Yeah, I mean, Steve, here's what I'll say is and I think like in my small couple of years of interactions with them, they don't want anything negative. And I'm all good if they would love to. I mean, I would be honored if they asked. I mean, to think that I have like, I don't want to be all high and mighty, but I just think that I want to continue to tell the real stories of Monday qualifiers. And I say it all the time about the Michael Vilsacky video, right? Like, I love that video. It's very cool. It's
Me
an
too.
awesome moment in our sport. That being said, I want to cover Michael Vilsacky if he missed that putt and missed that opportunity as much as I want to cover him getting in. Not because I want to see a guy who is down on his luck, but just to cover the reality of that's what pro golf is like. Like, Michael Vilsacky had a once-in-a-lifetime, or, he might have more opportunities, but at that time it was his first opportunity to get into a PGA Tour event, and he took advantage of it. But I want to talk to him if he missed that putt and Chris Baker, made a 15-footer on top of him and knocked him off, because that's the reality of what happens at Monday qualifiers. Is you're one stroke or half a stroke away from the biggest opportunity of your life, and it's taken away from you. And that's what I want to cover that I'm not sure the PGA Tour wants to cover. I want to cover that at McCormick Ranch, the Monday qualifiers hit off mats and the range balls suck. And the course is going to have public play as soon as that last group tees off. That's the reality of Monday qualifiers. So I would be honored if they asked me. I would just make sure that I had free reign to cover what I think is the reality of what Monday qualifiers are. I love the stories. I want to continue to tell great stories. That being said, I want to tell the stories of the guy who shot 67 4 weeks in a row and hasn't got into an event and wants to go, shove his 9-iron through his front windshield because he's playing great golf and can't get into an event. So I love the great side. I also want to cover the reality side.
Yeah, and when you're personally out there, your favorite story, is it the grizzled veteran that's lost status, he's out there, he's working his way and he gets through, or is it the kids that are living in their living in the car? What's your favorite story, or are they all your favorite story?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think for me, I think I always respect young guys are out there, and I love those stories, the guy living in the car and those kind of things. But I'll use like Steve Allen as an example, and I'm sure you guys know Steve or know of Steve.
Yeah, I work with Stevie. I work with Stevie.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice
like,
segue there, Monday Q.
I mean, I have so much respect for Steve or guys like Steve, because I mean, he could have given up 5 or 6 years ago and just waited for 50 and done lessons or whatever he wanted to do. Ben Crane is a great example. Ben Crane is a 5-time tour winner, has $22 million in PGA Tour earnings. The last thing that guy needs to do is go play at a Monday. I mean, literally, like he doesn't need it financially for sure. And I go to the John Deere Monday in, I don't even like Quad Cities in Illinois. There's no airport. Ben flew into Chicago. I would assume, like most people did. Yeah. And drove 2 hours over. And here's a 5-time tour winner. Now, he didn't get through, but I respect the hell out of the fact that a 5-time tour winner is in the Quad Cities at a pretty crappy tour. It's a great tour event, but I'm saying the field and all that is pretty crappy. And
right.
and John and Ben Crane's there. Young guys, like, they kind of don't know any better, and they're out there. I love those stories too, but I really have a lot of respect for Jonathan Bird, another great example. Ben Crane's, Steve Allen's, that is just, it's crazy to me that they're still chasing it. Like, I guess it's easy for me to say it. If I had 5 tour wins and $22 million, I'd be sitting on my boat in Florida and waiting for me to get to 50 if I lost status. And those guys are out there grinding their ass off, and it's pretty cool.
Do you plan on someday if this thing gets any bigger, and it's already big, are you going to be at every Monday throughout the year on the PGA Tour? I mean, and I know you do other things, whether it's the For Me Tour, the KFT Tour, or whatever. I know you're not one-sided as far as it's all about the PGA Tour, because you talk about, on your social media about, something that's happening in Europe or the For Me Tour. And I know you caddied last week, I think, or the week before on the For Me Tour or the Latino PGA Tour. How ultimate goal, are you on the road every single week and you take your two kids because your wife divorced you, or are you just 25 or 26 weeks a year maybe trying to do something?
Yeah, I mean, I have no desire to travel a ton. I think early here I'm starting to travel a little bit more, but yeah, I don't want to be at every Monday. And honestly, from a content standpoint, I think it gets a little stale if I'm at every Monday, because at the end of the day, Mondays, there's great stories within them. I love Mondays, but if I'm at every Monday, eventually that putt for, that 15-footer with a fist pump to get into the John Deere Classic, that gets stale a little bit if I'm there every single week. But I think the stories never end. So I will cover the stories all the time. I don't foresee a future where I'm at every Monday. The only thing I would say is, like, if we can get to the standpoint, obviously the tour controls all this, is like, if we could get it to like a way to stream every playoff, that would be awesome. And then, yes, I would be at most every, because you guys know, there's a lot of drama and there's no fans, but I think, you go back to the RW Weeks and KJ Choi. That playoff meant as much to RW as, like, there was as much pressure. I always say, like, there's pressure in Mondays, like, because a Monday playoff, on the PGA Tour, you want to win, obviously, and you lose in a playoff, you're going to get rich, and it's the downside is you finish second. At a Monday qualifier, your chances are you have a chance at $6 million, or you're going to go put your shit in the trunk and go home.
So I'm going to add to that story because you just brought up. So we lose to Choi in the playoff, and I don't know, and I racked my brain all day because this was the second story I was going to tell you. I don't know if it's that year or the year after. We're leaving Tucson. We just missed, and the waste management is the next week. It's called the waste management now. It used to be called so many different names. I don't know. And we're driving down I-10 from Tucson back to Phoenix. He's in a different world, and I got the music on, and he's not happy with it. And he says, "We're not fucking Mondaying in Phoenix." I said, "What do you mean we're not Mondaying in Phoenix?" "Dude, I'm broke." I said, "What?" "I'm broke." And I said, "Well, how much is it?" "I think it's 100 or 200. I forget what he said. I said, "I'll pay for it." And he pulls off the side. And Steve knows this. This is between Tucson and Phoenix, which is the loneliest drive on I-10. It's terrible. And he pulls onto the shoulder on this freeway or highway and says, "You'll pay for it?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "If you pay for it and we get in, we'll split it." I said, "Split the purse?" "Yes." Okay. I gave him the money. We go to Monday at Papago. Back in the day, they played at Papago, and we break the course record. And I say we because we broke the course record. We shot 62 on a Monday, immediately left the course. Didn't have to. This isn't like today, Monday Q. This isn't like today where you had to wait it out. You shoot 62 at Papago, you just go to the course. Don't even worry about it. You're in. After 3 holes of the final round, we are tied for the lead. 50-50. Whatever it was, 180,000, whatever it was back then. And he wants to hit 7-iron on the par 3, number 4, or maybe he wants to hit 8. And I talk him into hitting 7. We're tied for the lead. Right over the top of the flag, right over the green, right into a tree and make double. RW was the kind of guy, and Dahlby knows who he is, that when stuff doesn't go right, we're done. And we went par, birdie, double, and ended up finishing 45th or 46th. And it was just, I mean, you want to talk about just pissing money away? I mean, just money just flying out of my pocket on every single hole we played. But that's a story that I'll never forget because he really wasn't going to play in the Monday qualifying until I gave him the money. And then he gave me the opportunity to go 50-50. And I'll never forget, it was that Thursday or Wednesday after the tournament where he got his check deposited into his bank account that he drove over to my house and wrote me a check for $2,300 or $2,400 because we made like $4,600 or $4,800. But I had an opportunity at that time with the lead during the Waste Management Phoenix Open. And at that age, I was younger. Things are spinning through my mind. Oh, my God, my life's going to change. But that's another Monday Q story that I thought I should share with you.
I mean, that is awesome. I mean, that is an awesome story. I mean, I wish you would have told me, and I would have had it for content purposes. But it's great on this. I mean, I would love to, like, one day sit down with like all the old Monday Q guys. RWE, all those guys, Great Craft, all those guys, and just like, I mean, there has to be when there was no, I mean, literally, as you know, better than I, like literally no one paying attention. There was no online scoring, whatever, and just like sit around a fire and just listen, not say a damn word, listen to stories like this. I would just, it's a good way to, if I was going to go out, that would be a good way to go out. Just sitting, having a couple of drinks and listening to RW Weeks tell Monday Q stories.
Hey, Monday. So I like too, one of the things that you do, and I saw today, you're posting about the Texas Open. You'll talk about the Colorado Open. I think sometimes you've talked about Dakota tournaments. Tell me a little bit about, do you build relationships with guys and then you kind of follow them, and one's playing in Dallas and one's in Denver and somebody's in, Waterloo?
Yeah. I mean, there's always stories. I mean, like, Neil's in Colorado for the Colorado Open, and you guys, I mean, Steve's there too. It's for a young guy, it can be a life-changing week. The Texas Open is $40,000 and $40,000 or $100,000 in the Colorado Open. I mean, that is maybe not career changing, but it certainly keeps your career going for a long time.
Sure.
And I would argue that, the Colorado Open, the pressure to win the Colorado Open is probably as much as a regular tour event if you're just a regular mini tour guy, because that 100,000 probably means more to you than the $1 million does to Dustin Johnson winning the Wells Fargo. I just know a lot of the field. I think there's always good stories that come from it. There's a lot of boring mini tour events. I'm not trying to say every one, but the Colorado Open,
most of them, by the way.
The Colorado Open has a 90% chance of having a great story. Steve Allen wins the Colorado Open. That'd be a really cool story. Neil Johnson wins again. That would be a great story. Some random mini tour guy that 99.9% of people have never heard of. $100,000 changes their life. Last year, Mark Anguiano won. He was $20,000 in debt. His credit cards were maxed, and he won $100,000.
Yeah, for a mini tour player, that could be 3 more years.
Yes.
That 100,000, that's 3 years. Where somebody takes 20th at the 3M, okay, whatever, it's $100,000 and that's great, but it's a different pressure when you're talking about your life. And I think what you do, Monday, is you're talking about players' lives.
Yeah, Steve, that's why I love the Korn Ferry Tour, right? I say all the time is like, there's very rarely a week on the Korn Ferry Tour that someone's career or life didn't change. Tag Riding's 2 weeks ago, right? Like 160th on the money list.
Love Tag Ridings. Love Tag Ridings.
Yeah, 47 years old. His career is, 160th on the money list, 147th in points. His career's kind of looks like it's headed to be over. Like, is Tag going to go at 47 years old back to whatever stage he gets exempt to, probably second? I don't know. At this point, doesn't matter. Is he going to go back to Q school at 47 years old? Probably not. He's going to wait for his few starts that he has from his win in 2006. He wins 15 years or 19 years after his first win. Like, that meant way more to Tag Ridings than I don't even know who won that week on the tour. It doesn't matter. It meant way more, and it has nothing to do with money. And I agree, Steve. I mean, the $100,000 to Sam Saunders, who won not that Sam Saunders, the New Mexico Sam Saunders.
The New Mexico Sam.
I mean, he won the Colorado Open. Like, that $100,000 has kept him going. He just won on the Forum Tour, and now he's going to be on the Korn Ferry Tour. Does all of those bricks fall into place if he doesn't win the $100,000? You never know, because that $100,000 kept him going for 2 or 3, like you said, years. And now here we are, 2 or 3 years later, wins the first Forum Tour event. Next year he'll be on the Korn Ferry Tour. Does he have a good year on the Korn Ferry Tour and get on the PGA Tour? Then we always go back again. And where did that start? It started, in the Colorado Open. And so, as you guys know, like, it's such a process that, you look at it, and I mean, Dylan Wu this week on the Korn Ferry Tour. I was talking, I messaged to him. I posted it today. Messaged him in July of 2019. He had one start on the Korn Ferry Tour in July. He had missed a cut. He had already had a fourth in Canada. On his way to Canada, and got a call that he was in the Korn Ferry event. I literally sent him a message like, why are you going? Kind of like, you just go to Canada and finish fourth again. You have your card back. And he's like, because I always want to play on the Korn Ferry Tour. He went there, finished second, kept his Korn Ferry card. This season, just won, 14th on the money list, going to be on the PGA Tour chart. Where did it start? It started on a phone call that he was last man in the field at a Korn Ferry event 2 years ago. So I think those are always the stories that people forget. I say a tweet all the time is, when you see guys cashing big checks, don't forget the journey there.
I totally agree with you that, because, when I started caddying on tour in 84, 85, I was 18, but I told everybody I was 19. And I watched, I remember, I'll tell you one of my second tour event, third tour event ever was at Atlanta Open, a year that a guy named Steve Pate finished third. Okay. I'm with a bunch of caddies who I don't know. I don't know anybody. I've been set up. The guy I was working for, Dennis Trixler, and whatever, fuck him. I'm in the back of a van with a bunch of caddies going back to the hotel, and here's this guy, Steve Pate. I don't know who the guy is. And I said to him, who'd you caddy for this week? And he goes, I'm Steve Pate. I finished third. So it goes back to how days used to be when, like, everybody was to live together. That, 4 in a room, 2 on the floor, 1 each bed. 4 guys driving from Williamsburg, Virginia to seriously, and honest to God, I drove from Williamsburg, Virginia to Moline, Illinois in one night, missed the stop, ended up in Chicago, had to go backwards around the city to get to Moline. That's how the days used to be when there was no money back then. So when you talk about, life-changing moments, when RW and I won the 1990 Arizona Open, we won $10,000. 10. And these guys are, and back then, 10,000 was a lot of money. Now you fast forward to 2021, where you talk about, a Neil Johnson or whoever, a Weeby winning the Colorado Open and winning $100,000. You're right. That can, as Dahlby said, that can take a guy for a couple of years, because when you go to Monday qualifying, and you know more than I do, when you go to a Monday qualifier, you're looking at $2,000, even if you don't make it in the tournament. Am I right?
Yeah. And I mean, I use a Mark Baldwin quote all the time. When you don't have status, and there's no bonuses for Mondaying in or anything. He said, yeah, you spend $1,500 to $2,000 and then you Monday in. And he said, that's when the real expenses start, then you got to pay for a tour caddy if you want to do that, or you fly your buddy up, or, you hire a local guy for $1,000. You got to extend your hotel for 4 more days. You got to rent your car for 4 more days. You got to cancel your flight. And then you miss the cut Friday. Now it's a $4,500 week in the hole. And what do you have to show for it? A nice little credential or nothing. So, yeah, Mondaying is great and it creates a great opportunity. Just Monday is expensive. Once you get an event, if you don't make the cut, and, some of these guys have like some incentive for Monday, but most guys don't. Neil Johnson, Monday qualifies into the Travelers. What does he get? Nothing. He's going to go get some free clubs at the trailer and get some free balls. And if he misses the cut, it's going to cost him $4,000.
Dahlby, that's your boy. He was on our show when he Mondayed for the Travelers that year. Was it
yeah,
2,
I think
3
there
years
was
ago?
then there was 2 tournaments that year, I think. Did he get in Puerto Rico and
Puerto
Travelers?
Rico, yeah.
And one of the things we talked about was going to the trailer, getting some stuff and trying to, and I think this is something you see, is trying to, once you do get in the tournament, to act like you belong there or feel like you belong there, where for a lot of guys, and especially that first time, there's so much going on that you're really at a disadvantage, like you said, Monday, where you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do, you're almost kind of looking up and down the practice tee to see who's there. It's very, very difficult. So love the stories when the guys get in the tournament and then make the cut and then move on. And as you were talking about, sometimes when the guy doesn't have status, when I work with Martin Laird, so I started with Martin, he was having a tough year on the Corn Ferry. He had no status, but then he won the San Juan Open, which at the time was a pretty big tournament in New Mexico. I think he got a Rolex and some other stuff, but then all of a sudden he goes to Q school, gets on the Corn Ferry, wins on the Corn Ferry, and then there's that momentum where all of a sudden, he's on the tour forever and even got another win last fall in Las Vegas. So it can happen quickly in some ways, but it is so hard.
Yeah, I use Joel Damon a lot as an example. Like everybody sees the Joel Damon we see now, and he's a fun love. He's a great guy by all accounts all the time, but the guy just wasn't very good for a while. He was in Canada, finished like 75th on the money list, then finished 30th on the money list, then finished first on the money list, then went to the Corn Ferry and just wasn't very good. Finished like 120th on the money list, then 70th, then 40th, and finally got his card and went to the tour and finished like 180th on the next cup, and then 110th and 50th, and now he's a PGA Tour winner. Like it's easy to forget, even for me. It's to look at Joel Damon and go, "Oh, geez, he's won $5 million or whatever his career earnings is now." Joel Damon was broke for 7 years. Like that's just the reality of it. And there's plenty of Joel Damons that never make it, more than what do make it. But if you look up and down the money list on the PGA Tour, a lot of those guys have some sort of story that they were out of money or they missed at Q. Jason Duffner missed at Q school a billion times. There's just endless stories. And I think it's easy to forget that when we see, a 20th place finish and $100,000 check or whatever. It's easy to forget that a lot of these guys struggle to get where they are, really appreciate 100. Are like, this is great.
RW and I missed, I think, every tour school that we ever went to. And I don't know how many it was, but he got his Champions Tour card, won 4 times out there after I was gone. And, he had a successful career. Do you think there's ever going to be an opportunity in like 5 or 6 years that you're going to be at a Monday Q, and all of a sudden Vegas has odds on who's going to qualify for the Monday Q? Is there going to be a 4-for-1 playoff, a 8-for-3, 10-for-2? This is what I envisioned earlier today when I was thinking about some kind of weird questions I was going to ask you. And I would be like, you'd be there, and I'd be like at the scoring table with a whiteboard, okay? And the players can come up before the round and be like, yeah, I'm whoever. I like to put 20 on myself. And I start like an odds board. Do you think that could ever happen?
Yeah, I have a crazy story for you, Bernie. So about 6 weeks ago, an odds maker from overseas hit me up and said, hey, I just made odds for the Monday qualifier. Can you look them over for me? So you can bet the Monday qualifier on overseas betting now. It's true.
Because that's where I was going to go with you. So if I was this guy with the whiteboard, okay, I would come to you, we would talk like Saturday night, Sunday, make sure everybody got in. And I'd be like, okay, what do you think of Neil Johnson this week? Does he got a chance? I mean, how's Johnson's game? How's Vogel's game? How are these guys playing right now? And I could like just move it around. And then if I got overweighted, maybe I just leave, take the money and just leave and never show up again. But yeah, so somebody actually reached out to you and asked you that question.
Yeah. And I don't bet, I don't gamble. But
neither do I.
So,
yeah, right.
So the guy said it, and like I was giving him my honest feedback, and I missed Jay McLuhan, and Jay is like Monday'd a few times, and he was like 400-1 or something like that, and like Jay has, a legitimate game. Obviously Mondays it's a crapshoot, but
yeah, of course
he was priced way wrong. And so after the odds were posted, I reached out to a couple of Twitter friends. I was like, can I get a bet placed on Jay? And we ended up putting like $20 on him, and he shot even or one under and didn't make it. But what happened during COVID was a lot of these mini tour events were, being bet. And so a lot of odds makers were reaching out to me, and they don't know a lot of these people. So there was always a screwed up bet, like, Sam Saunders, the New Mexico Sam Saunders, who they didn't know was like 300-1 or whatever. And you're like, oh, geez, Sam's a really good player, So the Mondays were so far the ones I've seen, and they don't do small ones, but like the Waste Management, the Honda, the ones with like some bigger names, they always post them. And there's always a screwed up guy in there.
What's it like to caddy for Neil Johnson once he has I know you've caddied for him in a bunch of tournaments. What's it like?
Who knew that?
Once he loses his mind on the first hole. Go ahead. Who knew what?
Yeah. Who knew Neil Johnson had a temper?
Probably Dahlby, since he's taught him for a few years.
Yeah, not really. Not really. He doesn't seem like it.
I know. He was like, I caddied for him in Vegas. We're rolling. Like, he's doing well. I think we were 4 under, maybe 5 under coming to 9. I can't remember, 4 or 5 under. And it's like a dry creek in the middle of and right. And he hits a drive right. And all of a sudden, Neil is pissed off. Like, we hit it in there. And Neil is really pissed off. And I was like, Neil, we're a 5 under par, dude. Let's just drop this, hit this in the middle of the green, make 5, and we're 4 under at the turn. Or if it was 4, we were 3 under at the turn and still well within side of it. And then he hit a poor iron into the bunker, still really mad. Hit a pretty poor bunker shot, still pretty mad, and then made about a 40-footer for 5. And I was like, well, it's not how we drew it up, but we made a 5. And I was like, hey, Neil, you don't have to be that mad. And so, yeah, Neil has a temper. I had no idea, but the most mild manner, and he's a great guy, a good friend.
Cincinnati, last thing I'm going to say to you, we only got a few more minutes with you. Cincinnati Monday qualifier 1 year. We just finished 9th in Des Moines, RW and I again, on the Champions Tour, and we have to go Monday in Cincinnati. And the whole week, we're not going to Cincinnati. We're not going to Cincinnati. Okay, great. Whatever. Finished 9th in Des Moines. We get off the 18th green. We're going to Cincinnati. I said, when are we going? We're going in an hour and a half. We get on this plane. We fly to Cincinnati. We drive out to the golf course. It's almost pitch dark. I'm talking to the club pro, the cart barn guy, the guy that picks the range. What's this course like? I'm trying to get every information I can. And whatever, he hits a few putts. We go back to the hotel, tee off the next day. We got a 3 under after 9. It's blowing 40. Monday, it's blowing 40. So we're 3 under after 9. Okay. We're carts, thank God. We're going past the scoreboard, and the guy's like, hey, what'd you shoot our 3 under? Oh, God, you're ahead by 4. Really? Yeah, everybody's over par. So 10's a drivable par 4. No idea how I'm running up, trying to take a look at this hole. We make par. We go to 11. It's a par 5. He hits driver in somebody's pool. Right in the pool. Re-tee. Dahlby knows this story. Re-tee. Hit it in the right trees. Okay? We end up making 8. Okay? Now we're even. We par the next hole. Next hole is this weird dog leg par 4. Hit it in the shit again. Lay up. Hit it on the green. Got about 30 feet. Hit it 5 feet by. Misses the 5-footer. And backhands the 2-footer. Misses it. And picks up. And we go in. We quit. On the way back to the hotel in the car, he is screaming at me. Why'd you let me hit driver on the par 5? Why'd you let me hit driver on the par 5? You know we were forced clear of the field. I said, I've caddied for you on and off for 15 years. When's the last time you didn't hit driver on a par 5? And if I would have called you off hitting driver on the par 5, you would have said to me, why are you calling me off on the par, hitting driver? So that was the last tournament that I ever caddied for RWX in my entire life, was this in Cincinnati in the 2002 Monday qualifier. So that is my final story for the night.
Wow. I mean, you need to run the Monday qualifier story. Do you talk to RW anymore?
We talk every now and then. He actually came to my wedding 7 years ago. So, but yeah, no, we don't.
All right.
He's riding a Harley somewhere up in Colorado or whatever. But Dahlby, anything you got lot to say to Monday Q before we let him go?
No. I think just to thank you from all of us that follow golf, and for what you do. I was just kind of scrolling through on your Twitter some of the people that follow you that I know, and it's there's golf coaches, there's caddies, there's just people. It's great, and just keep it up, and I hope that the tour can partner with you in some way to help do what you do.
Guys, I mean, I try not to be serious very often, but yeah, I'm very, very lucky. Thank you for having me on. There's not a day that I don't wake up and just pinch myself that these things have happened. The fact that I'm fighting with the tour is very surreal. The fact that the tour cares what I do is very surreal. And at the end of the day, I'm going to tell stories with or without the tour's help. They can't stop me from telling stories. And so if it works out, that's great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. And in the scheme of things, I'm it's a little too serious, but my kids had brain surgery, and fighting, and you spend time in a children's hospital, and if you can't gain perspective there, then kind of in life, and so a fight with the tour is kind of meaningless in the scheme of things, and I'm just very lucky. I'm a very lucky dude. And I appreciate being on shows like this. I don't take it for granted. And thanks for having me on. It was really fun. I had a lot of fun.
And Monday, your show is back, right? Your podcast is back.
Yeah, blast it out.
Yeah, any given Monday, and it'll be out every Monday. And yeah, I mean, we did a funny one this week with the cowboy guy, but. I just got done interviewing Justin Lauer. Justin Lauer, for those that don't know, his dad was drunk and and killed himself and Justin's brother, who was 10 years old at the time, when Justin was 15. And Justin's been serious shit in his life, and it's the opposite of this podcast. It's a very heavy, very serious podcast, but a great story. He's been through a lot, and he's 27th on the money list, and he missed his tour card by literally 1 stroke 3 years ago. Missed it by 2 strokes last season that completed, and now he's 27th on the money list this year. So, yeah, I'm about a big Justin Lauer fan as there can be. The dude is open and honest about the shit that he has been through and how it affected him. And I'm going to continue to tell the stories of players out there that you guys know the stories firsthand better than I do.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can pencil me in. I'm a big Justin Lauer fan. Never met the guy, but just hearing you speak from your heart and who you are, you can count me in as a fan. Ryan, thanks a lot for coming on our program. Hopefully someday down the road, you'll think, you know what, those guys were okay. Well, maybe I'll come back on one more time. But we'd love to have you on back again, and best of luck in the future. We'll stay in touch, and will you please send me my towel?
It's in the mail, Bernie. It's in the mail.
Yeah, you have to talk to whoever's in charge of the mail.
I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to anybody else. I'm talking to you.
All right. I must have sent 6. I mean, if you have me on, what else are we going to talk about if I haven't sent you the towel? All my best stories were used up today. Guys, thank you so much for having me on. Seriously.
All right. Appreciate it.
I really appreciate it.
Ryan, thanks. Appreciate it. Take care. All right. That's the end of podcast number 3, sponsored by Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Thanks to Ryan French, Monday Q Info. We'll talk to you next week. Dahlby and I. Peace out, everybody.
Hit them straight, everybody.